Welcome to the IBEX Method Podcast. This is your host, Steve Bay, alongside Adam Fouts. Today we get into a conversation about recovery and burning out. Adam will give a little backstory to this and why this subject came up in the first place. But if you have a second, please take a second just to subscribe, like, or even dislike, comment, give us some feedback on what you've liked and disliked about the season so far, and what do you want to see in these future episodes. As always, thanks for your time, and enjoy this episode of the IBEX Method Podcast.
So today we're going to talk about rest, the importance of rest. I had a unique opportunity. I had the opportunity, I think last week and the week prior, to go ahead and run with my old track and cross country coach, one of the many, and got to do a workout with the kids. We were doing some quick, some tempo work. They're starting their season, stuff like that. And yeah, we had some pretty good discussions. And when you're young and you're impressionable, you always want to. You're eager to learn, but you're also just eager to show how good you are. And a lot of these kids just need to exercise restraint. And I made a comment to them probably the second time I worked out with them, because they're like, hey, what's your name? Like, how come we never heard about you before? And so the second time I was like, hey man, like, have you seen my name on the record boards before? And they're like, no. I was like, well, there's a reason for that, and just kind of alluding to the importance of rest. And I talked to them about, in my training in high school, how basically there's 2 weeks in a row we ran 200 miles, so total of 200 miles over 2 weeks, so 100 miles each week. Me, as somebody that didn't know how to rest, didn't know how to take it easy, I just worked hard every day, because that's what I thought, like, oh, go ahead and work hard. And if I'm the first one to finish our practice, no matter what the workout is, I'll be the best. And I was always the best preseason, but then the season would start and I basically burned out. And here I am years later, and it really just taught me the importance of rest. Like, I never rested, like, even between seasons and stuff like that. So that's kind of why I wanted to talk about building rest into your program. So rest could be multiple things. There's, I like to call it what's called active rest, and then just kind of pure rest. So like a pure rest day would be just not really doing anything. Maybe you're stretching, maybe you're hydrating, and that's the extent of it, but you're not really doing anything. An active rest day could be, hey, if I'm training for running, then maybe I'll just go ahead, instead of running that day, I'll go ahead and hit the weights real light, or work some other body part that's not engaging a previous muscle group that I hit before. So you're actively resting that group, but you're also remaining active in the sense of, like, keeping your heart rate up, your blood flow going, you're engaging other areas of your body, or just working out differently. So from a running standpoint, it could be swimming, that can be, light impact, like, getting on a bike, or kind of what I just mentioned, hitting the gym. I think for a weightlifter, that could be, again, do legs one day, upper body the next, things of that nature. So there's pure rest, and then there's active rest. I think both are important. I'm currently going through a training cycle right now for running, and I'd asked my running coach, like, hey, like, I saw the benefits of taking a complete day off. Can I build that into my program? Like, what are your thoughts on that? Like, should I do it every 7 days? Should I should I do it just based on feeling? So that's kind of the approach I'm taking right now, more based on feeling than actual, like, hey, let me take a legit rest day. But so there's no one cookie cutter way, but rest is important. I think we'll talk more about why it's important. But that's kind of the background on rest. You got anything you want to add?
Well, I think with the biggest thing, I hate calling it rest or taking it easy, as you were kind of saying, because a lot of times people take that out of context and they're like, oh, well, once in a while, I just need to sit on the couch and binge watch Netflix and eat potato chips all day. And honestly, I mean, I've been there. Be like, oh, I've been working too hard. I need to take a step back. I think it's programming it the right way. I think you need to program your rest as much as you need to program your actual workouts and your strength training. I think the biggest thing is when you are recovering, like, even if it's not programmed, sometimes injury happens. If you have, like, severe pain, obviously you're not going to want to push through that. Depends on what your doctor says. You might have some physical therapy, which that's recovery, that's relaxation. That's not preferable to what you want to do, but that's the when it comes into play when you don't have it programmed in. I'd like to say it that way. I like what you said about the active recovery. I feel like a lot of athletes benefit more from active recovery than just taking days off completely or taking it easy, because that jogging, biking, swimming, yoga, any type of stretching and movement is going to keep your body moving the way it needs to, and it's going to keep your maintenance up a little bit rather than just laying on the couch or literally doing nothing. I then kind of hand in hand with that too. When you relax, even if you are relaxing, yeah, you're allowed to have a day where you like. I know Sundays are usually my easier days. I'll wake up, do something real light. I'll watch a lot of football because I love watching football on Sundays. And I think the biggest trap you get into with that one that people don't always realize and think about is proper nutrition and eating
Mm.
right while you're recovering. Because people take the holidays usually, like we just got done with holidays. People are like, all right, this is my relaxation. This is my recovery time. 1-2 weeks later, few dozen cookies later, pies, cakes, a lot of like overindulgence. Like your body's not going to heal right if you're just eating junk. Like I'm not saying you can't have some cookies, you can't have some pie. Like if you just can't binge out while doing nothing too, it's going to be double jeopardy for you, and it's going to kill you.
Yeah, and that's a good point. Like, I'm not saying, hey, you know what, sit on the couch, be lazy, pig out. And I think that's what it comes down to is programming. I know for me, I just know I like to go hard, and uh, me taking a day of just like, hey, you know what, like today I'm just gonna stretch. Maybe I hit the bike real light, not do anything else. Um, or I just build it into my program where I literally do nothing. I may stretch, and that's it. Um, Mainly because of the intensity of the workouts I may do, where it's like, hey, you know what, I need, in order for me, my muscles to repair, in order for me to kind of regain my strength, I need a day where I'm gonna, again, like you said, program it, take that day, and it's resetting. So if you're gonna reset, you're not gonna sit there and eat the wrong things. You're not gonna sit there and not hydrate. Like the intent is, for your muscle fibers to grow and replenish. So how do you do that? Like you got to make sure you're getting the right protein in. You want to make sure you're getting your water in so that you can have, blood flow, recovery, things of that nature, and then proper nutrition just in general. Carbs to restore glucose. So that's a good point. It's not an excuse to to just not do anything and be lazy.
Yeah, I wasn't like pointing that out as you saying that specifically.
Yeah,
I feel like
yeah.
so many people take that out of context, especially
Yep.
your weekend warriors, and like you just can't take that for granted and just be like, all right, I need a recovery day. It's not a recovery day when you're just sitting there feeling like acting like a piece of crap.
No, that's a good point, and that's like that's another thing about rest, right? That's where I think like active rest is important. Like I'm on a thread now with the running group. I got thrown into that, and somebody's like, hey, I'm just getting back into running. I've been running for 6 days. Like, I'm kind of sore. And I'm like, okay, well, like, I don't know what I should do. And I'm like, well, are you sore or are you on the verge of breaking down because the intensity of your workouts for the past week have been what they shouldn't have been? Like, where are you? Like, well, I'm just kind of moderately running. I'm just kind of sore. I'm like, okay, well, there's two things you could do. You can stretch and do some type of dynamic workouts, maybe hit the gym, get the blood flow going, or you could do a light run. And that person chose to do a light run. They did a light 2-miler and they felt great, So yeah, one is it's all within your program. I mean, that's basically what it comes down to. If you're just doing light mileage, it's okay to do a lighter day and not necessarily take the day off. And that's what I consider what an active rest would be, where it's like you're intentional about slowing yourself down, but you're still doing something physical. I think complete rest within your program would be necessary when you have a lot more intensity. You want to prevent injury. But again, that complete rest does not mean you guys still got to be intentional with your diet. You got to be intentional with your intake. And I think for somebody starting out, you just got to kind of find that balance.
Yeah, you're more susceptible to it when you first start because you're going to get so sore. You're not going to know what is hitting you. You're like, am I injured? Am I supposed to feel like this? Like even more recently, after my last procedure, lost almost 20 pounds again. And I've started a new cycle right after Christmas, and just doing some front squats with dumbbells, like nothing incredibly heavy. Like my legs were on fire, real tight. Like, but I've experienced that before. I'm like, okay, I just know I need to do some lighter leg stuff, even on days where I don't have legs programmed, just to get my body moving, flush all that out, get that movement and mobility back, rather than just waiting another week to do legs. Because I like to train legs like 3 to 4 times a week, not saying like I'm going to squat, deadlift, do everything all 4 days a week, but I feel like I get my best results doing that. And going along with how I'm saying that is you need to listen to your body. If it's something you wouldn't go to the doctor for, it's something you could push through typically. Like that's the best way I could say it. If you'd be embarrassed to go to your doctor, be like, oh, my legs are sore. Well, what's wrong? They're just sore. It's like, are you having sharp pains in your knees or something? And you're like, no. Okay. Now, if you have sharp pains in your knees, yeah, maybe go see a doctor, see what's up. I know I had that problem for a while. I had some knee issues. I went to the doctor, got some knee therapy exercises, did physical therapy for a while. Still do those exercises to this day. Like, even if I'm not running anymore, I still like to do those to keep my knees strong. I know you had some knee problems for a second. I showed them to you. And they helped you out. Like, I'm no physical therapist. I wasn't prescribing them. I just said, hey, this worked for me. Give it a shot. Like, that's another way to recover. And it's great. And I know we're talking about rest, but I think rest and recovery really do go hand in hand when we're talking like this.
Yeah, for sure. And that's, it's interesting. You really got to learn your body. You got to learn where you're at. And that could be one of those days where it's like, hey, you know what? Like, like I'm sore. Let me do something that's kind of break down the lactic acid in my body. Let my joints kind of loosen up. Or this one's like, hey, this one kind of feels like an injury. Well, maybe that day, do some light. You could go online. You could find like, hey, I have potential knee injury. Go online and see what workouts are there, and you can do that and engage that area to kind of see,
Just don't Google your injuries too far, because it'll basically tell you you're dying. So don't do that. Oh no, my knees hurting up. I'm dead.
Yeah. So like, the biggest issue I have right now is I do have osteopenia, which is like my bone density is decreased just because of my condition, which also created like an osteoarthritis in my hip and some issues with my sacroiliac joint or whatever. So some of it's bone and joint. Some of it is also just, muscle. So, obviously if your joints are inflamed, then you could potentially impact how your muscles are sitting and stuff like that. So I'm like, you know what, like, I know this is a thing for me, let me, like, instead of doing impact work running, let me go ahead and hit the bike. Let me find some workouts. So I went on Google and I just typed in like physical therapy, hip and sacroiliac workouts, and found these 2 physical therapists, and they give you these references and these workouts that you can do. They're very light, they're very moderate. So I started doing those, started stretching more, which is more imperative now because my intensity of my workouts is increasing. But now those are kind of like part of my warm-ups, and because of that, like, I'm doing better. I did take a few days off, but in those days off, I did stretch. I was very intentional about that. I was very intentional about doing these little exercises to make sure I'm engaging the part that's hurting. But I also, it was symptomatic. I knew what was happening because it's just a chronic thing that I deal with. So, that's a good point. Just understand too what you're trying to research. So maybe we can help with that in the future or something. But I don't know.
We plan on having some physical therapists and stuff on this show eventually, and talk a little more in depth on that kind of stuff. And maybe people that have more of a scientific background than us on different subjects.
Yeah, and just so my background is like I was a guy that I was high intensity all the time, and eventually I ended up burning out. And so like, what is it? What is burnout? So basically, I was just constantly fatigued. Like literally, I would run and my legs could not move any faster. I had no turnover because they were just shot, and I had no idea why. And basically, my body broke down. My muscles broke down to the point of like I got to a threshold in which I was no longer benefiting from my workouts. I was actually deteriorating myself. And again, this kind of goes back to even what we mentioned the other day with strength training and Kipchoge and stuff like that, where like I think I said something along the lines like, and learning what he does. He only goes like 80% for a majority of his workouts, and I think it's a lot to be said for. Like you want to be able to train so that you can make it to competition day. And I think Usain Bolt mentioned something about that as well. It's like everyone can sit there and train, but not everyone can make it to the competition, either because of injury, they give up. So obviously, if you're going too hard, too fast, you're more prone to injury. You're more prone to give up. If you kind of pace yourself, like do that active rest, where it's like, hey, you know what? Instead of going 100% every day, let me kind of dial it back to 80, so I could sustain that over time. Or if it's like, if I am going 100, let me take a day where I'm just gonna stretch, kind of loosen up, not sit around, eat horrible things.
Well, I think another thing goes with that too. How you're talking, the more specialized you are as an athlete too, if you're specifically a runner, you're going to be more susceptible to leg injuries and leg problems and leg soreness. Now, if you're just like the weekend warrior who just likes to do a little bit of like, I like to lift, I like to occasionally do this, I like to occasionally do that, you kind of have a benefit because you might get a bunch of weird different sorenesses, but you could kind of bounce around and do different things. Like in lieu of like that time where you're hurting, you could do other things because you have a lot of different interests. That's how I've been for my whole life, even when I've been very active in things. Like I could recover by doing a different sport or doing something else. Like you got to find what works best for you. And like I said, I like field goal kicking a lot. Definitely overdid it before. Basically like messed up my hamstring good for about a year and a half because of that. Because I was just kick. I was like, all right, what else am I doing? I need to do more mental reps. I need to stretch more. I need to do yoga more. I need to do more weight training. And when I was younger, the weight training was really lacking. Like I said, I didn't get into weight training till I was probably 19, 20. And yeah, definitely 19. That's when I graduated the first time. So being able to identify where those overuse muscles and overuse
there you go.
instances, like a pitcher, elbows, arms, wrists, you're going to be more susceptible if you're doing one specific thing or training for one specific thing. But if you're not, yeah, you kind of got the luxury of kind of moving around doing different things. Because if you're like you're focusing on something right now, you have a goal at hand, you want to do your sub 5 mile. Like if you're feeling a little under the weather, you're going to push through because you have that goal at hand. You need to go accomplish that, but you're not getting ready for the Olympics right this second. So you have some time to recover more than someone like, I don't know who runs the mile right now.
Yeah, I don't know.
They say I'm so far out from the distance guys, but you got to understand where you're at too, whether you're professional, whether you're just the casual jogger, or if you're competitive. And that's where you're at right now. You're competitive, so you have to program that recovery into your workouts rather than just being like, all right, I'm kind of burnt out today, let me just chill.
Yeah, it's interesting. I think I kind of want to hit on that, but I want to go back to the pitcher mentality. Like I really love what you said there, just kind of like understanding where your overuse is. That's the part you should be resting, and then working at other areas. That's kind of what that active rest is that we talk about. And I think for a pitcher, I mean, if he wants to improve his pitching, he's not going to sit there and pitch every day. He's going to go to the gym. He's going to improve his upper body strength. So he's resting, that motion, but he's also still engaging those muscles and supporting muscles is going to help him become a better pitcher, you know. So I think that's important when it comes to the concept of rest, active rest. I think, yeah, I don't know. I was thinking about like, you know, CrossFitters, just, you know, a whole bunch of different things. Like even swimmers. I mean, they'll take a break from swimming to go to the gym and they'll work on, you know, again, upper body. They'll work on legs, you know, things of that nature. So that's kind of what we're talking about. I think when we say active rest, it's like you're still engaged in the workout and a routine. You may dial back what you're doing if you're going to continue in that repetitive workout, or you just go and do something else that's equally as beneficial that's going to help you develop. But there are going to be times where you just have to take a day to stretch. That's not an excuse, and I like that as well as you know. So for me, I always go back to I have Crohn's disease. I deal with like chronic fatigue. You know, if the weather changes, I end up getting chronic sinus infections that last a long time. And, I'm like, you know what? Like, I'm always gonna have fatigue. I'm always gonna have a sinus infection. Like, those are things that I know I have to push through. Like, no matter what, I'm gonna wake up, I'm tired. Like, no matter what time of day it is, I'm tired. And I was like, I just need to go work out because I'm just gonna feel better. All right. And I'm like, all right, I'm dealing with a sinus infection. Like, it's not gonna kill me. The sinus infection is not gonna kill me. Like, I could continue to work out. But obviously, if that developed into bronchitis, okay, that's going to require that I rest. And
yeah, here comes the big asterisk of this whole conversation. Sometimes when you are sick and completely jacked up, you do need to relax.
yeah,
Straight up. There's always exceptions.
yeah, exactly. And it's understanding. Like, I love what you said too. Like, because there are people that's going to hear this that are just starting out, and they're going to find every excuse to be like, "Oh, Adam said I could take a rest day." Like, I'm not saying that. Like, I'm just saying that listen to your body. Every time I go into a workout or a routine, I have a plan in place. So it's like, all right, like, is this an intense thing that I'm doing? Yes or no? No. Okay, I'm just going to continue to sustain, listen to my body, whatever. If it is intense, then I'm going to need a day where I just kind of dial it back. Is that a complete rest, which is stretching? Maybe. Is that active rest where I'm just jogging? Maybe. You know, is that a bike day? Potentially. Like, but I'm thinking about these things as I build out my program. So for somebody that's just starting out, listen to your body. You can probably continue to keep going and keep pushing, but that doesn't mean, yeah, you're in a dead sprint. That means, like, you know what, like, just go out there, maybe jog half a mile, jog a mile, like, just do something active. That's your active rest. You're not killing yourself. You're still maintaining productivity, but you're just not overdoing it. And if you are sick, then yes, you need to recover. If you have an injury, you need to recover. So I think those are the asterisks. The
actresses.
So, but I just love rest because I feel like that's where I operate from. And it's like, well, what does that mean? How do you operate from rest? It's like, well, I'll go back to my Skinny Moving program. Like his program had a rest day where you literally did nothing, but you are like giving it your all every single day up until that day. So it's just like, you know what, like, this is a good time to reflect. Like, I'm maintaining a diet, so I'm not giving in to anything else. Like, I'm still part of this program, still part of this routine. But it gave me like that little like recovery and boost that I needed to get back into that. It actually made me excited for the next day to get back in it. And I felt kind of lost too on those days where like, I should be doing something, you know. Now that I'm,
but like you said, you're going so hard on those other days. Like,
yeah,
it's a very intense, it's a very focused program. It's the recovery is built in.
yeah.
In that case, the recovery is just full recovery with proper diet, and you're getting ready for your next day.
Yep. And it's
Sure,
just part of the
and you said
part of the routine.
You said reflection, mental reps, doing what you can to recover mentally, getting more hyped up like for the next day. Like, all that goes hand in hand.
Yeah, no, for sure. And I think we could probably just sit on the topic of burnout either now or some other time, but we'll probably save that for another time. But
well, you know, we could just touch on it super quick. Like I had a little note written down. When you're feeling burnt out, that comes back down to what are your goals? What are you actually trying to accomplish? Are you trying to run that sub 5 mile that you really want to and qualify for these races that you want to do? If you're feeling burnt out, are you going to take some time off, or are you going to go attack that? Like, are you going to get over that hump of just feeling burnt out? Or
Well,
if you're me, like, I'm just kind of just trying to get back into shape, and say if I started running again, be like, all right, I'm not really running for anything. I'm feeling burnt out. I'm just going to go do something else. Like, I'm more of I'll go do something else if I'm not training for something specifically.
yeah, and I think what you're like, burnout, not in the mental sense of like, I'm just kind of bored, but it's like I pushed myself to the point in which I can no longer return, and I just literally destroyed myself.
Oh yeah,
In the context of,
I was talking about the mental side of it.
Yeah, no, it's okay. But I think yeah, it was probably just so there is maybe the burnout in the sense of like I'm just tired and bored. I don't want to do this anymore. Like those are the days you should probably go out and do something. Like just do something, like anything, you know. But there is a point where if you're not doing those active rest days, if you don't have a rest built into your program, and you're just going, eventually there's a point of no return, and all that progress is lost simply because your body just can't do it anymore. But again, if you're just starting working out, you're probably not going to get there for. It's going to take. I'd say months to years to even get to that point. So if you're just starting out, it's kind of just like, hey, you know what? Like, I feel kind of sore today. Okay, well, that's fine. Go jog, hit the bike, maybe do some light reps in the gym. Like, you can do that. You can afford to do that. But
yeah, barring some minor things like maybe some slight knee pain or some shin splints, and even then,
right.
that's stuff you could push through. To be honest, like it's nothing that's gonna impede you, especially early on. It's just got to push through.
Yeah, and it's the same thing, right? Like maybe the intensity dies down, but you're still doing something, right? I mean,
yeah, you're gonna get those newbie, what they call newbie gains. Whether
yeah,
you're in the gym lifting, you're gonna gain some strength and you're gonna gain some muscle, regardless if you've never stepped in the gym or you've been out for a very long time. Same with running. If you start running, you're going to get faster, some way, shape, or form.
yep,
It just at first it's gonna truly hard to burn out quick.
right. Yeah, it's just gonna hurt, and you're gonna have to push through it. So what are the benefits of rest? I think we already kind of hit on that, right? Like you talked about recovery. So it does allow your muscles to kind of rebuild, regroup. So every time you do a workout, essentially what's happening is your muscle fibers are tearing down. So by either doing a different type of workout, you're engaging another muscle group, and you're allowing your other group to kind of regroup. I'm saying group a lot, but it's all about repair. So your muscle fibers are repairing. But the only way it's going to do that is if you have a proper diet that would support that. So as Steve said, don't just take a day off and think you're going to sit there and watch Netflix, eat popcorn, and have Cheetos or whatever. You need to replenish your body so that it can continue to perform optimally in that repair recovery process. Anything else you want to? What are some other benefits of rest? So you prevent burnout. Again, if you're just starting off, more than likely not going to happen.
Yeah, honestly, rest, full muscle recovery, mental, physical burnout. I think that's the biggest things, and like, it doesn't sound like a lot, but it really is. If you've experienced it, you know those few things, and along with the burnout comes injury. It all goes hand in hand. So, few things, big implications. Don't let it happen.
Yeah, no, it's true. So, and I think rest is again one of the most important things to have within your program. And again, I like active rest more than full rest days. That's like, hey, I'm still going out and doing something. And again, just to give you another story. So I do have Crohn's disease. I deal with fatigue. Every now and then I'll get joint inflammation throughout my entire body. And I may have shared this story, I know, in conversation with you, Steve, but I'm sitting here, I'm going through this program, and I just got my treatment, and I get an IV I just got moved to every 7 weeks. But I don't know, it comes with its own symptoms or whatever, but just joint pain is one of them. And I'm sitting there trying to like help my wife with just changing our daughter's diaper, and like just I don't know, like the hand movement of doing this and grabbing the sides of a diaper just crushed me. Like, I'm like, and I'm trying to hold her up, and I'm like, this is just too much. Like, I just can't do it, you know. But at the same time, I was like, I haven't worked out today. Like, let me just try to like, I need to work out because I know if I don't do it today, if I know if I take that rest day, that I'm just gonna go down a path of like making an excuse to then take that next rest day because I'm already feeling horrible. Um, and I was like, I just can't allow my body to just start, I don't know, like breaking down in that sense. So I went out, I went to the gym, and I pretty much crushed the workout. And the workout actually required like a close grip pull up, which I mean crushed my wrists because they already hurt, crushed my fingers and stuff like that. But I was like, you know what, like I don't even care. Like this is the worst I'm gonna feel. And I know if I don't do this, I'm just gonna continue to feel horrible, and I'm gonna make excuses to not keep going. And you know, sometimes you just gotta do that. Like you just gotta push beyond, and that's where rest can be impeding in the sense of like it can stunt your progress because you know your day off, you may eat the wrong thing, and now you're making excuses to continue to eat the wrong things, make excuses to continue to not work out the next day, and we're speaking totally against that. Like don't do that. Like so that's an example where again, you know your body, you know what it needs. And I mean, it probably took me 2 days to feel better. So the next day I felt a little better, and I worked out again, and just kind of kept going. And I waited for my rest day with my program, and I kept going. But that's the other thing too. Build it in so that you can't have an excuse to do it later. I mean, I think it's another thing to consider.
Sounds great, man.
All right, Steve. Well, thank you. Thank you all for listening.
Time for us to recover till next week.
Sounds good.
Because we programmed it in. Don't worry, I'll be editing, so I won't be fully taking the day off. So awesome. Well, this is Steve, and that's Adam. And thank you for
This is
listening.
the Ibex
podcast. Yeah. You said it.
Yeah, thank you all. Have a good one.